Hello and welcome back, my dear students. Now we'll start chapter number 12, Reproduction in Plants. Let's see. First we'll talk about reproduction. Reproduction is the process or reproduction is the production of new individual from their parents. The vegetative part of a plant are the roots, stem and leaves. The reproductive parts of the plant are the flowers. In plants, there are two main types of reproduction. They are asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, new plants without the help of seeds. Sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, new plants grow or are produced from seeds. Asexual reproduction. In plants, there are different types of asexual reproduction. They are vegetative propagation, budding, fragmentation, spore formation, etc. First is vegetative propagation. In this method, new plants are produced from the vegetative part of the roots, vegetative parts like the roots, stem or leaves. Example, if the stem cutting of a rose plant or money plant is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. Potato has a small bud called eyes. If a part of the potato with an eye is cut and planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. If a part of ginger is planted in the soil, we can get new plant. Bryophyllum has buds in the leaves. If a part of a leaf with bud is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. If a part of a cactus plant is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. Like in this figure, you can see how the vegetative parts of the plants helps in the growth of a new plant. Next is budding. Example, yeast. This budding can be seen in yeast. In this method, a small projection called bud is formed on the yeast cell. The bud grows and becomes a new yeast cell. The new yeast cell also grows and produces more yeast cell as given in the figure. Fragmentation. Example is Pyrogera. In this method, the plant breaks up into two or more fragments and each fragment grow into new plants. Spore formation. Example, fungus, fern, etc. In this method, the fungus produces spores. The spore germinate and produces new plants. Now we'll talk about the sexual reproduction. Flowers are the reproductive parts of the plant. Stamen is the male reproductive part and pistil is the female reproductive part. Flowers which have only the stamen or only the pistil are called unisexual flowers. Example, maize, papaya, cucumber, etc. Flowers which have both the stamen and pistil are called bisexual flowers. Example, rose, mustard, petunia, etc. The stamen has a filament and anther. The anther contains pollen grains which contain the male gametes. The pistil has stigma, style and ovary. The ovary contains ovules which contains the female gamete or egg. In sexual reproduction, the male and female gamete fuse together to form a zygote. Reproductive part of a flower. This diagram is a very important diagram This may come in your examination. You can see the diagram of stamen and pistil, which are the male and female reproductive part of the flower. Pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of a flower is called pollination. Pollen grains are transferred by wind, water, or insects. If pollen grain lands on the stigma of the same flower, it is called self-pollination. If pollen grains of one flower lands on the stigma of another flower, it is called cross-pollination. Fertilization. The process of fusion of male and female gametes to form a zygote is called fertilization. After fertilization, the zygote develops into an embryo. The ovule then develops into the seed and the ovary develop into the fruit. Thank you.